You ever notice how some people can't take boredom? And I think that boredom is probably one of the best things you can feel in your life. Now, when I was younger, I remember boredom being excruciating. And we didn't have social media back then. And I was bored of video games, honestly. I was bored of TV. There would be times where I just wanted to go hang out with my friends, get into trouble. And I'd be like, I would tell my mother I was bored out of my mind. I need to get out of the house. But I think on it now and I say, you know what? That could have been the biggest gift, the biggest indicator to my future potential. And we all get bored from time to time, right? And we immediately what we want to do is pick up our phone and distract ourselves. It is the internet. I heard somebody say this. The internet is the biggest addiction to humans love the internet. We absolutely love it. We have to have it. So, can you imagine if it was cut off and we had to start back from scratch, just being humans, doing what humans do naturally every day? We would feel extremely bored without the internet. So, the internet is the biggest crutch in the world. And when I think back on the days when I was, just a young teenager, all bored, there would be some days where I would practice writing, I would practice rapping or tapping out beats or whatever. But those are the days that I appreciate. I appreciate that because you're using your own mind to figure things out. You're making mental connections. And if I had like a smartphone to distract myself, I would have never had the experience of just mentally playing through things and imagining things. The imagination is probably one of the most valuable things that a human being can possess. And we might be losing our imaginations as a species on this planet. The human being is designed with the innate ability to record, not to record, but to mentally record things, but also to create things, to make connections with the mind. So I say, what would have happened? Would I ever taught myself how to rap, how to breakdance? If I had the internet at my disposal and all these flashy things on the screen to capture my attention, would I have been the same person today? I don't think so. Now we have to practice some sort of restraint in order to be creative. And we have to have a little bit more discipline to be creative. And just asking questions on the regular, like asking certain questions and pondering on these questions that pertain to your life specifically is becoming more of a superpower than anything. Because, you can plant yourself in front of the TV and literally have the consciousness of a plant. We all don't. We all really don't know if a plant has more consciousness than us, and we just don't know it. I think it just boils down to the ability to take boredom and transform it into something. Transform it into what we call the flow state, something that I love to talk about. But you take the boredom and you utilize that boredom. The more that we pick up the telephone screen, the more we kind of hinder ourselves from the ability to transform boredom into flow states. And then it will get to a point where we constantly are just programmable humans, almost like a machine, because the more information you consume, the more information you allow to be spoon-fed to you, the more machine-like you become. You start acting like an automaton of sorts. And this is what happens because you're constantly being programmed, right? It's like if you sit in front of a television screen or you sit in front of a podium where somebody's giving you a lecture, you're not the one giving information. You're not the one synthesizing ideas, breaking things down, or creating anything. You're constantly consuming input. And that's what a computer is, right? A computer just takes input, regurgitates it, or memorizes it. I think we got to stop memorizing so much. And a lot of times it's not about needing new information. Sometimes we think we need something new, but we don't need anything new. What we really need is to remember what we already know and play with those ideas that we already know and create something better, something that inspires us and invigorates us to take it to the next level. There may be some unfinished work that somebody else did, whether it be an author or a thought leader or anybody, that is incomplete to you, or you may find it to be incomplete. And you just have this compelling urge to complete it. And that's where you go do your best work. I was looking into the origins of the movie Terminator because I saw the other day a clip of the movie Terminator. And I realized that this movie was just one of the best movies ever created. That, along with The Matrix, in my opinion. But these movies actually took from other sources of information, other manuscripts and television shows from the 70s and the 60s, actually. There was also a speech by somebody named Frederick D. I can't remember the guy's name, but somebody did a speech in France, and he was talking about simulation theory, Gnosticism, and things like this. Very deep, compelling things, but he's basically describing the movie The Matrix, and he was using words like the Matrix, like it's a simulation like the Matrix. It got deep into like the origins of religion and all kinds of things. And you can tell the writers of the movie The Matrix, you could tell they watched that speech. So it was Philip K. Dick that had a speech in Metz, France, I believe. And if you watch the speech, if you listen, I listened to it the other day while I was working, and it was an incomplete work. You can tell the creators of the movie The Matrix were standing on his shoulders, along with the woman Sophia. Okay, so Sophia Stewart's The Third Eye. The name of the book is The Third Eye. Okay, so in that book, the media, the mass media, the secret organization with the code name the Rothfellers, convinced people on Earth to rebuild their weapons systems. Computer games such as Tron, Space, Commander, and Pac-Man replaced Monopoly and other home board games. And the games were a scheme of the Rothfellers to secretly prepare young boys and girls for nuclear wars by programming their minds to handle computerized warfare. And I didn't read the whole book, but my point is, like, these are interesting concepts. The creator of the Terminator and the Matrix, they may have drawn inspiration from others that came before them, and these people went and tried to sue them for copyright infringement, which, I mean, it's a cash grab. I'm sure the original writers who were talking about these kind of things had drawn inspiration from other sources when they were younger. So this is how greatness is created. Those were two great movies that were created. So the whole point is to take what you know, take what you already know, and create something out of it. It's a beautiful thing to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks, and then create something around whatever stuck to the wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, just get your hands dirty a little bit, or a lot of it, and make a masterpiece of your own. But you'll never figure out. Like, it's something that has to be done no matter what. It's like something that you just practice on on the regular. Yeah, I'm curious, like, who did those authors like Philip K. Dick and Sophia Stewart? Who did they get their information from? Like, I'm interested to know, or I'm interested to know what kind of, like, if somebody ever interviewed them, what did they read as a child? What kind of books were they looking into? What were some of their favorite TV shows? What were some of their favorite novels? What kind of authors did they read? What was their background and upbringing? So you can get to more of the root of the creation that happened with the movie, all the way up to the movies Terminator 2 and The Matrix specifically. And then what's to come after those movies? Like, is that our pinnacle right there? Did the 90s kind of cap out the best filmmaking? Because nowadays what you see is, it looks like they're remaking a lot of things. A lot of the music is remakes of the past music. A lot of the movies are remakes of past movies. It seems like originality is kind of slowly receding. It's Where's the originality these days? And is it because of our obsession with the internet? That we just have to have this internet and everybody wants to be a carbon copy and everybody wants to be like emulate the same thing that's working, and we can't create anything great anymore that's new and novel because of it. I'm curious to know what you think.